Can you imagine a country where for every 4 citizens, there's one fortified bunker? A small nation in the Balkans, yet it possesses over 700,000 massive concrete defensive structures, scattered across every nook and cranny, from windy coastlines to towering mountain peaks, from bustling cities to the most remote villages. Why such a peculiar reality? What compelled a tiny, impoverished nation to pour so much resource and effort into such a crazy project? It all stemmed from the obsession of one man, Enver Hoxha, the totalitarian leader who ruled Albania for over 4 decades. Enver Hoxha was born in 1908 in Gjirokastër, a charming old town bathed in sun and wind in southern Albania. He grew up in a well-to-do Muslim family and received a good education from a young age, something not everyone had access to at the time. Imagine a bright, ambitious young boy leaving his hometown to seek knowledge in Europe's great cultural centers. It was during these years studying abroad in France and Belgium that his ideology completely transformed. Hoxha became captivated by Marxism-Leninism, drawn to the ideas of a classless, equitable society. From an ordinary student, he gradually became a fervent communist, ready to fight for his ideals. When World War II broke out, the small nation of Albania was occupied by fascist Italy. It was a chaotic and painful time. Hoxha could not stand idly by. He returned home, with the fire of revolution burning within him, and quickly joined the resistance movement. With his organizational talent and strong will, he rose to become the leader of the communist resistance forces. With strong support from Yugoslavia and later the Soviet Union, Hoxha's forces fought bravely, eventually driving the fascists out of the country. In 1944, he stepped onto the political stage as a national liberation hero, wielding absolute power. It was a historic moment, ushering in a new, tumultuous chapter for Albania, a chapter no one could have predicted would unfold as it did. After the war, while Europe began to heal its wounds and rebuild, Albania under Hoxha chose a different path. He immediately set about building a socialist state, but not just any model, a very unique, Albanian-style version, based on the rigid principles of Stalinism. He implemented sweeping reforms, land reform to abolish feudalism, nationalizing all industries, banks, and even small shops. The goal was to eliminate all forms of private ownership, turning everything into common property. Simultaneously, a free education and healthcare system was established, bringing significant changes to people's lives, at least in theory. In foreign policy, Albania was initially a close ally of the Soviet Union, viewing Stalin as a great teacher. However, when Stalin died and Nikita Khrushchev came to power, things began to change. Khrushchev implemented a policy of de-Stalinization, openly criticizing Stalin's errors. This made Hoxha feel deeply threatened. For Hoxha, Khrushchev's revisionism was a betrayal, a dangerous threat that could undermine his power and destroy the achievements of the revolution. From then on, Albania gradually distanced itself from the Soviet Union, seeking a new ally. They turned eastward, to China under the leadership of Mao Zedong, who also had deep conflicts with the Soviet Union. This special relationship lasted quite a while, with China providing significant economic and military aid to Albania. But then, when Mao Zedong died in 1976 and China began its economic opening policy, Hoxha once again felt betrayed. To him, China's rapprochement with the West was a deviation from the true communist path. Albania was left alone again. After breaking ties with both of the world's largest communist powers, the Soviet Union and China, Albania fell into a state of complete isolation. Like an island in a political ocean. And in Enver Hoxha's mind, this isolation wasn't peace, but extreme danger. He believed that every major power, from the US, Western Europe, to the Soviet Union, and even neighboring Yugoslavia, had intentions of invading Albania at any moment. This fear wasn't just a fleeting thought. It became a constant obsession, shaping Albania's entire defense policy. And that obsession led to one of the most insane and costly projects in 20th century history, the construction of hundreds of thousands of bunkers across the country. From the 1970s until his death, thousands of workers and soldiers toiled relentlessly, almost 24/7, to cast these solid concrete domes. There were one-person bunkers, small and discreet, hidden in foliage, larger, more robust bunkers for military units, and even massive underground tunnel systems, designed to be command centers in case of nuclear war. Can you imagine? The cost of this project was enormous, draining the resources of an already impoverished nation. Instead of investing in economic development and improving people's lives, money and effort were poured into these defensive structures that, in the end, were never used for actual combat. People's lives became even harder, while the fear of war grew stronger. By the final years of Enver Hoxha's life, the cult of personality surrounding him had reached a new, almost frenzied peak. He was praised as a saint, a father of the nation, an infallible genius. Everything from textbooks, films, to songs served only one purpose, to flatter and deify Enver Hoxha. But beneath that grand facade, a harsh reality was unfolding. Anyone, even with the slightest hint of dissent, even a small complaint, was ruthlessly suppressed. They were arrested, imprisoned, tortured in notorious jails, or even publicly executed. Fear permeated the entire society. The bunkers, built to protect the country from an external invasion, ironically, became symbols of isolation, fear, and a totalitarian system of control from within. They were not just inert concrete structures, they were living proof of the obsession with war, Hoxha's absolute distrust of the outside world, and the brutal cost of a dictatorial regime. Enver Hoxha's life and reign ended in 1985, when he passed away at the age of 76. His death marked the end of a long era of dictatorship in Albania. Just a few years later, with the fall of the Berlin Wall, the communist regime in Albania also gradually collapsed, ushering in a period of difficult but hopeful transition. And so, those colossal bunkers, built to protect the country from an invasion that never came, now stand as a bizarre and haunting legacy of history. Many bunkers lie abandoned, overgrown with weeds, becoming shelters for wild animals. But others have found unexpected new uses. They have been transformed by the Albanian people, into unique cafes, historical-themed restaurants, museums showcasing the dark period, or even small homes for the homeless. These defensive structures of the past are now part of modern life, carrying a completely different meaning. These bunkers are not just inert blocks of concrete, they are living reminders of a dark period in Albanian history, of isolation, fear, and the heavy price of a misguided political vision. They symbolize the economic and social devastation that a dictatorship can cause, and serve as a valuable lesson about the importance of freedom, openness, and connection to the world. So, what do you think about Albania's peculiar bunker legacy? Were you surprised by the sheer number of bunkers and how they've been repurposed? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more fascinating and unique historical stories. If you love exploring forgotten historical stories, subscribe to the Unseen Past channel so you don't miss the latest videos.